Welcome. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to host another meaningful conversation today. We're going to dive deep into the theme of returning home to ourselves and awakening the ancient memory of the most natural ways of being. I have the honor and pleasure of introducing to you two remarkable women whose lives are in service to the Great Mother and Father, in service to the earth, honoring her guardians and all her children, and passionate about supporting humanity's great awakening and returning back to our natural ways. First, my most beloved soul sister Lily, a Quechuan initiated shaman, ceremonial guide, and one of the most devoted beings I know when it comes to serving the Great Mother. Lily has walked the path of shamanism with great integrity, humility, and grace. She's passionate about giving voice to the animal kingdom that has been degraded by humans for too long. Her upcoming sacred gathering, called The Way Back Home, happening mid-August on the beautiful east coast of Ireland, not too far from where I live, is not just a retreat, it is a loud and clear call to remember who we truly are. Welcome, Lily.
Welcome, Julia. Welcome, Nelly. It's an absolute honor to be here with both of you, united in that one purpose. May the Great Mother express through us during this conversation. May she guide us. May she hold us.
Yes, welcome. And joining us today is radiant Nelly, a medicine woman, voice alchemist, and cosmic traveler whose work weaves together her deep ancestral wisdom, sound healing, astrology, and shamanic ceremony. Nelly carries a powerful lineage, a devotion to the sacred, and awakening the voices that has long been silenced. Welcome, Nelly.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. And I'm also looking forward to share, as Lily said, for the greatest good of everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
So let us open our heart. Let's join in forming a sacred circle that each of you watching are invited into. Place a hand on your heart and your womb if that feels aligned. Feel your roots and your crown expanding in sparkling light. Take a few deep, long breaths. Now let's together honor all our ancestors that walk this earth before us, and those that traveled the skies far and wide. We thank the Great Mother and Father and all the guardians for holding sacred space as we gather in support of our collective healing and evolution towards greater balance, connectivity, and harmony. May this conversation stir soul remembrance, ignite loud voice of inner knowing, and guide us gracefully on our way back home. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
The beautiful video that I shared at the beginning of our coming together belongs to Lily, who carefully designed it, and her support team manifested it so beautifully. It's supposed to be the introduction to the beautiful event that is upcoming that I've mentioned briefly, mid-August in South County Wicklow, called The Way Back Home. And the opening invitation to the retreat starts with a question: can you hear her? So I want to ask you, Lily, what does the Great Mother feel like to you in your everyday life? And what does the way back home means to you personally?
The Great Mother, what does she feel to me through everyday life is that presence of the guide, is that presence of wisdom, is that go-to source for wisdom. Where let's say, in the moment of making decisions and I'm a little bit unsure, I always go to her. So she feels like on the outer space, like this guide, but also on the inner space. She lives in every act of kindness. She lives in every act of giving. She is the source that pushes us, not just me, towards unity, towards oneness. She's the source that invites us to respect life and see the animal kingdom, the natural kingdom of plants, trees as equals. She is the voice of equality and endless giving, but at the same time, she is the balance. She really invites us to hold balance. As if we really look at her cycles and rhythms, there's only half of the earth that is growing ever with the sun, while another half of the earth is resting with the moon. So she's, so I feel her in all of those acts when, I suppose, one merges with the mother, as these are the values and the lessons from her.
We know each other for many years, and I remember our conversations, and I actually recall when I believe you started hearing her louder and louder and louder, like her presence started really coming into your life, right? So I would love to also for you to speak to that phase of her presence becoming more almost tangible in your life experience. Those last few years, right?
Yeah, it was last few years. Well, I suppose embarking on a plant medicine path, healing myself with sacred plants, started to awaken a greater sensitivity to life. Don't get me wrong, I was always connected to animals. I always found my rescue in nature. And I remember from a young age arguing with people that animals can hear us and we can speak to them. And, we nature is alive. And but I was quickly shut down by the programming and everything else that was going on in society at that time. But when it really hit home was that when I committed to a plant medicine healing, and I started to do it quite often, just to uh, regain myself. I've made a decision that I want to come back to my primal self. And what that primal self was for me was the one that hears, the one that feels, the one that knows the spiritual realm and knows what is truly within our heart. And it's that greater interconnectivity, it's that greater respect and reverence for life. And so when that started to awaken, throughout many conversations, I would have said those stories. I would be closing my eyes to go on shamanic drumming, and in that moment, I would be surrounded with animals that were hurt, animals that were abused, that were asking me to witness them, to listen to their stories. And so what I used to do for uh, a period of a year, I used to listen to those stories of those animals and create a link between the human kingdom and the animal kingdom, and to start a dialogue of apology, of reverence, of honor, as that's the only thing I could do. And then, at the time I was still working in the office, and I would be sitting there every day, just with tears flooding, because I was feeling the pain she feels. I was feeling also the responsibility that deeply awakened within me of what we have done to the earth as humans, as supposedly a part of the same design. How disconnected we have been and how disrespectful and dishonorable we have been towards her. So that has caused me a great level of tears and sadness. And I believe the experience that I got upon completion of that healing for the animal kingdom was the one that you're referring to, which was the one when the mother truly showed herself to me through a heartbeat. I was privileged to hear her heartbeat. At one particular day when I was coming from work, busy, just thinking, how can I get out of here and do what I'm meant to do? And in this moment, this massive ringing in the ears came in, and I had to sit down on the earth in the park. I was walking through a park, and I started to feel her heartbeat, and that heartbeat was moving from the earth through me, through the back of me, and activating my own heartbeat. And that was her way of saying thank you. That was her way of saying I see you. And as at that time, I would have shed a massive amount of tears and weird looks and all that's related to the awakening of the sensitivity to life. Also, when I start at the beginning of that journey, I started to look for guidance from her and look for support and work with rivers, work with streams of water, worked with forests. And I would always ask in prayer, can you hear me? Can you hear me? If you hear me, can you send me an animal? So she would send me a deer walking towards me or observing me. And, at some point, I remember I got this thing in my head, still questioning whether I was connecting or not. And I got this thing going, there's a lot of deer in this forest, maybe it's just all coincidence, And this one day I said to her, Mother, I'm really, really sorry, but there's a lot of deer in here, and if you could this time, if you hear me, if you could show me a squirrel, which I haven't seen at all. So I picked that squirrel. So that day I got nothing. There was no squirrels coming near me, and I was quite disappointed. And I was thinking, okay, right, let's see. And then the next day, myself and my husband were going shopping and to the local grocery store, and this big, massive squirrel. I mean, he was huge, just jumped in front of the car and started to run in front of us.
Wow.
And not he didn't just go left and right into the bushes. It was like, now you get it. Now you get it. You understand? And he ran in front of us for about 3 minutes, and then he turned around and looked in the car, like on his two legs. He looked in the car. It was like, now, do you believe? And I said, I'm so sorry. I do. And then he went off. So, and time again, those experiences would be happening to me. So it was only a matter of time when I truly awakened to that belief, which is the ultimate truth, that she is alive. She's hearing us, and she's there. She's there if we are there.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. I know that many viewers on my channel will resonate deeply with that, because I know my community and so many are wired astrologically, as that's my language, to be the guardians of nature. And they, I'm sure, can, if they would like to share their stories of similar connection and communication with Mother Nature, please do. You're welcome to. And I just want to point out the importance of us reaching out first in order for nature, God, meet us halfway, just like that Michelangelo painting where God's hand is reached out, but it requires us to meet him, her halfway. And it seems it has been the case for you too. They're always patiently waiting for us to be ready to pay attention and to come into communion and to come with deep respect and reverence, right? And humility. It seems to be the key for that open communication, and how magical. Thank you, Lily.
You're welcome. Mhm.
Nelly, I know you carry deep ancestral connection through your Amazonian and Andean roots. I'm curious to learn about your journey in terms of when did you start hearing the voice of your ancestors or the Great Mother? When did that begin calling you into remembrance? How was that journey for you?
To be quite honest, it began with first there was a series of awakenings. There was just, the awareness of, I'm awakening, but then the ancestral healing and the calling from my ancestors came before some plant medicine journeys. I was literally walking in the woods, in a forest, and it's a particular forest in Wicklow. And that forest said to me, do you see this forest here? From here, there is a vein that connects you to the Amazons. Anytime that you need to regenerate yourself or connect to the Amazons, I was missing the Amazons. I was missing my roots. I was actually a little bit sad that I could not connect to my ancestral ways, because I've been raised in Europe most of my life. I was uprooted from the Amazons very abruptly. So they created some kind of traumatic event, and I began to kind of like to remember that. So the forest just said to me, come here, because from this point you can connect to the vein of the Amazon. And so the land started to speak to me and tell me, this is where you connect. And the land started to show me ways of how to even build the stones. As Lily's, Quechua or Kero initiated, I have not had a lot of teachers, or I hadn't had the teachers back then. So the land started to speak to me, this is how you do it. And I started to collect stones, and collecting stones is something that I did since I was 2 years old, just walking. And then my grandmother used to say to me that could barely walk, I was 2, and I will follow her, and all of a sudden her bag was just filled with stones, and that was me just picking all these stones. And yeah, it began a little bit there, and then I just said, okay, but I don't have a teacher. I don't have somebody to guide me, because my family, my old ancestors, or even like generations, they just westernized themselves very quickly, and they cut themselves off from that ancestral knowledge. So here in Europe, walking in the woods in Ireland, well, I was also raised in Sweden, so I lived in Sweden. I speak Swedish as well. All of a sudden, the land just said, "Remember this," and it was like my body, my bones started to activate some kind of remembrance. And then I started to look for elders to work with from indigenous backgrounds, and very much also to the connection of the star ancestors, where astrology became very alive for me. That's very briefly, but there's a lot more.
Amazing. Thank you. What a richness I can feel in your blood, in your bones. Such an honor to connect with you. It's our first time to really have a deeper conversation. So thank you, Lily, for introducing us. So this summer, really, I've been inviting my audience to explore ancestral healing because of the astrological influence connecting or activating Cancer and Capricorn through the full moon, new moon, Leo coming. We're recording this on a full moon in Capricorn on July 10th today. So we hope that transmission will come through loud and clear. And then the following new moon is going to be in Leo, which is also connecting or activating the heart and the spine, the blood. So the 3 consecutive moons were really very much about that. And of course, we have this major shift of outer planets going into new archetypes. So I would like to ask you, Lily, how do you see ancestral wounds being carried in the body, especially the voice? Because I know that has been important part of your journey too, awakening the voice. And how can we begin to release these wounds from our body? I know you've been working with groups, guiding people through immense amount of healing. So are you, Nelly? But Lily, can you speak to that? How do you see ancestral wounds being carried in our body, and how can we begin to release them?
Well, yeah, the ancestral wounds, they're like the echoes of the stories of our ancestors that live within us and through us. They manifest under suppressed emotions. They manifest under patterns that are very difficult to break, physical illnesses. Yeah, and in fairness, the space when I normally seen them is the womb area and the voice area, because that is the energy of creation. So it does make sense that when something gets blocked, that blockage lives in there. So how can we do something about it through voice? Like if people have blockages in around the throat chakra, it would be blockages with speaking up for themselves, speaking their truth, setting boundaries. But also, it's worth mentioning that we also have the internal voice, which in that sense would refer to living our truth. Suppressed voice doesn't just manifest through suppressed words, but also suppressed actions. So again, for me, the remedy for the world is the ancient ways. It is the ancient. That's where the remedy is. The remedy is in sound. The remedy is in meditation, shamanic drumming, and plant medicine work. These are all the tools that can really help us to move those blockages and release them. So with the voice work, we would have people that have suppressed their truths, suppressed you know, from let's say the countries that were
Oppressed.
under the occupation, let's say like Poland or Ireland, oppressed, yeah, that we didn't have the allowance to speak our truth. And from there would be a program of being afraid to share our voices, being afraid to share our language, even. And in some examples, even being ashamed of a language that we speak. Work with that. For me, the closest to the throat chakra is voice. So shamanic voice can really unlock those blockages, can bring us back there, can help us move those blockages as an energy, but also honor those moments, also work with it through a reverence, love, and honor, which is what is lacking in today's society and what is usually what's lacking within a person as well, because we don't walk on this earth in honor, reverence, and respect anymore. So there's really a whole package in the ancient ways that we can access of what we need to heal ourselves. Like, remember, at the beginning, there was no doctors. It was just us and Mother Nature and our internal tools. And we were doing that. We were operating just in that manner. Hope that answers the question.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I really do believe that a lot of voice work, throat chakra clearing and activating will be occurring more than ever before with Uranus entering sign of Gemini, which is all about communication. I really believe a lot of truth will be spoken, right? So this work is so potent. Will you be including voice activation in your upcoming retreat?
Yes, there will be a voice activation. There will be a voice activation as to us. This is the voice that we can speak back to the earth with. We're learning to understand her on the day 2, and on a day 3, we're doing shamanic voice activation, so we can speak back to her as this is us at that primal expression.
Before I bring Nelly,
Connected.
before I bring Nelly into this conversation as a voice activator too, I do want to bring in that you're not only giving voice to the people that are guided to you to speak their own truth, but you are inviting them during your retreats to offer their body and their voice to express the animal kingdom's stories and how powerful that is. I would love for you to speak to that a little bit so that people that are watching this can be inspired to do something like that in practice if they feel so called from within their own heart. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, giving voice to the animal kingdom is really what has moved me to do all of this work. It's really the factor behind, the fireball behind. So during day 1 of the way back home, the day that we've called the offering, we're going to be exactly offering that, offering our voices, our emotions, our feelings, our bodies, for the animals to express their truth and their suffering, and for us to witness it. There's an immense level of suffering in the natural kingdom, not just animal kingdom, as all the kingdoms is alive, and we, who has supposed to be a custodian of life on this earth, we've forgotten our ways, and we are causing, unfortunately, a lot of damage to the earth. So during that day, we're going to be listening to those stories. We're going to be owning what we've done to Mother Earth, owning what we've done to the animal kingdom. And we're going to be creating a dialogue, a beginning of a change that is going to start within, through realizing the suffering and pain that we've caused, through awakening higher heart, through awakening empathy and sensitivity to life. We will then learn to move softer on earth and honor, reverence, and respect that is so needed right now.
Thank you. This conversation is giving me so many flashbacks of QHHD sessions that I facilitated, and I only now realize how often the animal kingdom was coming through the sessions and how actively involved the animal kingdom is in the Earth's ascension process. They are evolving rapidly, just as we are. So thank you for all that.
Thank you.
Nelly, as we continue to speak to the voice that was silenced and wants to be heard, can you reflect back on your experience with giving the voice and the expression to the ancestors that were silenced? Have you had those experiences and stories to share?
Yes. I want to just tie back to your last comment of Uranus going into Gemini. I also want to bring Sedna, the asteroid Sedna, who is in Gemini right now. And Sedna, for those that don't know, is an asteroid that is an Inuit goddess, very ancient from the ice, and what it's doing that in the collective is bringing up a lot of the stuff that have been hidden. They have been iced and it's all melting right now. So when I spoke to you about, how did I connect it to the ancestral or, to the Amazon and all that, is because the land was already speaking to me, because I'm connected to that level, to that sensitivity that Lily spoke about. But now what's happening in the collective is that those who have not been able to reach that level are now going to be feeling everything from the land, and they don't always necessarily have to do plant medicine or any heavy work, because it's so vibrant on the earth because of this Inuit goddess Sedna that is activating the communication channels. And in relation to ancestral, we always talk about where are we blocked, and sometimes we go back to childhood, we go to the inner child. I've done a lot of work, a lot of deep work, a lot of shadow work, and what I'm feeling and what I'm realizing through the connection of my body is that everything is coming through my bones. And there are things like not even my grandmother or my great-grandmother could even share with me. When you connect to the drum, when you connect to the voice, and more so to the primal sounds, the primal sounds, I'm not trying to sing in a particular way to sound pretty or to be in a particular way. It's just whatever that's been buried. It's always just a simple sigh, that even just connects to many parts of your body. And when you start intentionalizing the communication of a part of your body, you'll be so surprised that all of a sudden it's not about your inner child. It's not about childhood. It goes back in many generations that, like I said, not even your grandparents or your grandmother or your grandfather could even share with you, because they didn't have the capacity or the awareness to connect to that level. So you had to go through so many generations, and timing also was very relevant on Earth for that to be activated. So for me, it couldn't be activated 10 years ago for whatever reason. But now is the time for me and for many other people that ancestral healing that has been buried on Earth, the bones, everything that's been silenced, the wars, the hurt that we've been doing, not trying to take sides, but what has been happening and what has been trying to be silenced can no longer be silenced. And it's gonna really start vibrating through each single person on Earth. The more connected you are to the land, the more you're gonna feel all of those stories. There are stories that I think, like even meeting Lily, I've heard all those stories that I'll be afraid to speak because I'll be judged. or people would say, oh no, that's being judgmental, or you're taking sides. And it's like, well, I feel it on my bones. I hear this is coming from Earth, and she wants me to speak all of this. And it's a lot of ancestral healing that, like, if you think of like, say, when there is a battle, the bones and the blood is buried, and it starts dripping down to Earth's core. And core, it hits at some point, it hits the core. Earth hears that, and she goes, what is going on, Earth? What on earth is going on? What's happening in my body? And then she awakens. And that has been happening over many, many, many years. But the core, the deep of the core of Earth, it's now going up to the surface. And this is where every single tribe, all the different continents, and like the indigenous side, North, Central America, everything that has happened there, I'm remembering things that 500 years ago happened, and that has to come up to the surface to be healed, from colonization to exploitation, and then how that also links to Europe in terms of the witch burning, the wars that have happened, the silence that have happened. It's just all coming up. I don't think we can really postpone this work anymore. And then I think this is also what my ancestors are saying. It's like, I've been working with people, and I can work with the womb, and at some point it's just, no, don't do that anymore. My spirit guides are saying to me, like, no, don't do your one-on-ones anymore. Don't work with that. I need you to be on the field. I need you to work with communities. I need you to work with the collective, with this ancestral healing, which is just gonna be, opening I would like to say like a big piñata, but I'm just trying to be, a little bit more positive about this. But literally, that is actually what is gonna happen. It's gonna blow open our faces so much that we can't avoid this work anymore. That it will be no fluffy stuff. It needs to be faced, it needs to be spoken, it needs to be said, but it's not to point fingers at anybody, from the past of what you did, what I did, what the Europeans did. Nothing. It's more like, well, okay, this happened. Let's bring that awareness. And where do we take it from here? Or what parts of ourselves are we still functioning under that subconscious programming that, we thought we were very awakened. We thought we were very conscious. But there is so much more that's happening at the subconscious, at the bone level. And yeah, full moon Capricorn is all about the bone. She's also referred to as the bone mother. Everything is just very, very well, step by step opened for us.
Yeah. What I'm definitely witnessing is rising of strength and courage and grounded wisdom in so many sisters and brothers who've been preparing for the last couple of decades into being able to hold sacred space of a witness to these things that are going to come up to the surface now, so that they can be revealed and healed, so that we can start a new reset in acceptance, and not only of the injustices that occurred, but also in acceptance of the grace that is present. Beautiful. Thank you. Now, you both clearly walk the path of spiritual rewilding, if there is such a word. I'm curious if you could speak to what are some practices that gently guide us back to Earth's wisdom in daily life. Lily, can you think of a couple? Some practices that gently guide us back to Earth's wisdom. Little things in our life.
Yeah, little things in our life. Definitely remembering that when we walk with Mother, that she's beneath us, that she's there, that her presence is constant. She doesn't go anywhere. She is the forever friend that you can have if you say so, if you decide to give her the energy, give her the attention. Asking permission to go on a land before we actually walk in somewhere, and especially in her kingdom. But not only asking permission, but behaving with awareness, being in the forest, knowing that it's a home for someone. It's a home for deers. It's a home for birds. It's a home for foxes. It's a home for animals, for our brothers and sisters, and for the trees as well. Um, Walking in awareness, understanding that all living beings um, deserve and should be treated with reverence and respect. But also, that's and also actually thinking of how our footsteps are going to affect the generations ahead. As Westerners, we don't think like that at all. And that's why in the native wisdom, we always have that 7 generations ahead, whatever steps we're making, not just in our daily life, but in our planning and our, if we think about changing the structure of the earth, building a house or a garden, how is that going to affect the 7 generation forward? Very simple practice, but these are the outer ones, and there's always the inner ones as well. So with the inner ones, we can just express her values to get closer to her wisdom. Every time we strive for unity, every time we strive for balance, every time we give without asking anything in return, gets us closer to the mother and to her wisdom.
Beautiful. I am smiling because I realized the little steps that I did today as I walked to the beach. I found myself walking barefoot on the sand, saying kiss, 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 kiss to the mother, through my feet. I've never done that before. Just joyful happiness for feeling the sand, but like kissing the mother. And then I went to the water and I was swimming in the sea and I was just saying out loud how much I love the sea, how much I appreciate her, how I love her, I bless her, how I wish for her to be respected and honored. And I didn't even, like, it just happened. So I had to smile because I didn't even realize I was doing it until, so little things like that. And that alone lifts you up. You feel the appreciation right back at you and the love and blessings coming right back at you, especially if it's totally selfless act of well-wishing and blessings. Yeah, Nelly.
I would say, that like what you ladies shared, they're very advanced practices, I would say. A lot of people, like if we want to go for very basic, the first thing that I would say, practice stillness. Just be still. Like whatever you're doing, just make sure you have incorporated. And this is something that I had to practice myself. Whatever you do, like every day, find that moment of complete stillness. Don't do yoga. Don't do, whatever other activities, listening to music. Is just being still. And this is the medicine that spirit always sometimes speaks to me when I'm really busy. I have Mars in Leo. So I'm very and she's teaching me, they're teaching me, stop doing whatever you're doing, practice stillness and connect to your body. Like I do body work and I help people, but my medicine has been like, stop doing whatever you're doing and just connect with your body and be in silence and just listen to spirit. And also when you're in nature, listen to the mother, listen to the wood, to the forest. And if you're feeling ill and if you have like some imbalance that you feel like, okay, there's something going on in my life or whatever, it's like, am I in the right reciprocation? It's the question sometimes that I ask. Am I in the right reciprocation?
Beautiful.
And she'll tell you, or they will tell you.
That's powerful. And since you mentioned that you have Mars in Leo, which is a fire sign, very active, it wants to be alive and move. I have Mars in Aries, and I can relate to that. It's also a fire sign. So for me, just sitting still, not moving, is extremely challenging, but I am able to have blank mind for a long time, all day, every day. I'm pretty good at having complete crickets between these two ears, but I'm in awe of the beauty of nature. So my being in silence or in stillness is a walking meditation. So I go for a walk and I admire everything I see. I'm just present with the beauty of nature. That works for me. The sitting, not moving, eyes closed doesn't work for me. And I believe perhaps because it's the Aries Sun, Aries Mars. So the remedy for me is walking meditations in stillness of the mind and awe in the heart. So if someone else sees themselves in that, don't put yourself under too much pressure. Find a way that works for you. But yeah, the stillness is so powerful and so important. Yeah, thank you. I would love to, I would love for you, Lily, to speak about the shift that I believe many have very recently started experiencing from serving or offering yourself in service to help other people heal and evolve and come back to their center from and shifting to serving the Great Mother, serving the divine, and letting that inform your choices and your actions. That yes, you can serve people, but there is like a conscious shift from serving others to serving divine. Have you experienced that yourself? I certainly have.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's a beautiful shift. It's a beautiful shift, and I think it's also planned. It's also part of the grand design, as I'm seeing it with many powerful sisters that has been walking the path for many years now, that are shifting towards serving the mother, serving the great creator, instead of serving people and self in
For the
general.
self.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm And the shift in frequency, it's a shift from um, it's a shift not from, but it's a shift into trust. Um, we are to be able to shift in that way. We need to first establish that trust that the mother will hold us. She will provide for us. Father will protect us, and that we are here not for self, but we're here as a part of something greater, something more meaningful, something that needs to happen. And there's a certain level of selflessness that has to come in to the while we step into that assignment. So right now, I feel that, and there's also great strength with that. There's also great strength with that, and that's where I'm going with this, as I feel from a person who was walking, a person who was very devoted to a path, but was still maybe a little bit looking to the sides for approvals, and maybe looking for validation. Once we step into that alignment of serving mother, we don't need that anymore. That falls away. That falls away because we have two of the most sacred, um, powerful forces holding us through that journey. Um, so it's an incredible shift in trust, in devotion, in love and service. And to be honest with you, once I've done that step, that I decided that I'm gonna be about others, and I'm gonna really make myself available as much as I can to help. Um, the mother and the father showed up instantly, and I've been just held through this process. So it's great to see that shift in consciousness. Is great to see more and more people bringing themselves to that, and is absolutely necessary. But I also think that um, we are just being poked at and activated into something that was pre-planned
Of course.
uh, by the grand design.
Yeah, beautifully said. For me personally, I really felt a massive shift from being in a very masculine mode. My ambitions were always very alive, uh, especially with the Sun and Mars in Aries, but they completely dissolved. Thank you, Neptune and Saturn in Aries, completely dissolved, went into surrender and much more in that feminine way that is just magnetic and allowing, trusting, letting the guidance to come through really through the divine. So perhaps now with the Jupiter in Cancer and Sun in Cancer for a month, but Jupiter in Cancer for 12 months, I believe many, many more will shift from that conditioned masculine ways that we have been programmed for so many decades into that feminine, nurturing, magnetic way that is so powerful, so wise, so deep, so creative, right? Have you noticed that
Exciting.
too, Nelly, in your work? Because I know you also still walk in the corporate environment. Have you noticed this, what we are talking about in yourself?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's the reason. So going back into why serving others versus mother, it's because number one, because the information that I'm receiving obviously is from the stars, but also from mother, and we can get ourselves into who do we serve? Like are we going to serve this group of people, and there's too much. There's too much work as such. So then what she's saying is basically because she's the purest of any walking human, to with no offense to anybody, but she's the purest and she's the most crystalline information. Whoever aligns themselves to Mother Earth will become closer to her. So that's why it's almost like in order for some shift to happen, rather than having to cater tons of people, to trying to change them, it's more so, to us aligning ourselves to Mother, because that will just dramatically have like some kind of wave effect on those who are like, so if me, Lily, you, we start aligning ourselves to Mother and we don't think about like, serving others, we serve her, that's going to already change something in us. And whoever walks with us or beside us, it's either going to trigger them for further away from us, but also it might make them very curious to want to do this kind of work. And also about say the masculine versus the feminine. Yes, I do have the corporate, and I've been told through many guides and astrologers, and also myself, my own feeling is that is not really my path, but there is also a level of timing. There is a timing that needs to be, a contract that needs to be fulfilled. And I'm getting towards the end of the contract because I'm moving more into the feminine, and especially because Mars has been reprogrammed. I have a lot of strong Mars, I have a lot of masculine, and I have a lot of fire, and I have a lot of, I don't have a lot of earth, actually, believe it or not. My south node is in Aries, my north node is in Libra. So for me, it's been very like strictly like no more, because I used to do full-time job and then do like all these different healing practices, that now they're saying no more of that. And that's why for me it's strictly, and for those who are really, really strong masculine, it's like, you can't be doing this anymore. You really need to drop into your feminine, and your work has to organically be created. So it's not like you are searching, where do I do the work? It's more so you stay still, you listen, and then you're told, right, so then you work with communities. Well, who in community? Just sit still. And then Lily comes along. Okay, so then there's these are things that are very like divinely guided, that are beyond me, that it just, I drop into my space of like where I have to be very organized, and then I let go to the space where I can just drop into my feminine, and I try to invite as much as possible that, so I can be more in Earth's rhythm and listening to that.
Beautiful. Thank you for allowing the beautiful shift in you too. And I've mentioned this on many of my interviews before, but for any new visitor to my channel, throughout the many years of facilitating regression hypnosis sessions, so many of my clients, and I know many QHHT clients all over the world, were regressed spontaneously, unexpectedly to a moment in their soul existence when they remembered the call of Mother Earth for more light and love to be drawn in as cells incarnating, as her cells, human souls incarnated here, and how we said yes to that call to come here, to dense family bloodlines, to anchor more light, more love in, to heal the traumas, recalibrate and activate that beautiful divine human potential that we all carry. But we came for her, we came to support her. And that was a beautiful act of selfless soul service. And it's wonderful to see how we remember. And thank you for mentioning Sedna activating millions at this time. And it'll become louder and louder and louder. And I was also aware of listeners that may prefer to use the word God to when we speak of the Great Mother. So for those, I would love to mention the book, The Forgotten Feminine Face of God. It's an absolute must read in terms of the history of religions and a dogma that has been created over the ages. And the title speaks for itself, The Forgotten Feminine Face of God, and the importance of reviving the mother in our language whenever we speak of divine. So I want to ask you, Nelly, again to speak some more on that primal voice, because it really stood out for me at the very beginning of this interview when you brought it in. What is the primal voice or primal shamanic voice you speak of, and why do you feel so many of us have lost touch with it? You work so much with a voice. Can you speak more to that?
The most simplest way to say is that many of us incarnated starseeds, because many of us, many of your listeners are, recognizing themselves as starseeds, and they've done a lot of work. But a lot of the challenge is the fact that we're not really rooted. We're not connected to the root. We're more like connected from, from the chakra, from here above, and we're not really rooted. So for us, starseeds, they have all many galactic connections, whether you're aware of them or whether or not, you just feel it. You'd rather be out here or be connecting to the stars. But the calling, the work that, you came here for was basically to bring all that knowledge, all the information, bring it into your own body and make sure that's fully rooted. And that's very difficult for us. And it goes back into a lot of, like I would say, my clients even, and people who I would be connecting with, they've had a lot of womb issues. So when they were born, they had a lot of problems in their mother's womb, and that's just a simple reason why we have difficulty to root ourselves here on Earth, and that's still affecting our lives. And in order to, I suppose, heal that, or to be able to bring the above and the Mother Earth connection, is that we need to really root ourselves so deeply. And the only way we can do it at this point, if we simplify things, is that we connect with the root, the fears, the trauma, the bones and everything. And inside of all of this, because it's a silent voice, if we can't speak it, traumas even, from the past, when maybe when you spoke and when you were this healer or this person who was an awakener, you probably were silenced, you were killed for speaking this kind of truth, and that also sits and carries on with us in our root. So hence a simple voicing from the root, and there's obviously exercises that Lily and I kind of will work with people, is to exercise those primal noises from the root. at the beginning they do sound primal, but eventually they become kind of like more like it's a movement that starts moving from the roots, and you start realizing actually it's from a past life, actually there is from an ancestor. And when you start connecting with that, you become more aligned, you become more rooted, and you start understanding where your different unharmonized imbalances are inside of your body. And that's why the primal voice is really important. And the natives, the indigenous, they were so rooted, they were connected, but they were guided by the star ancestors. But they didn't have these problems here in the West because they were connected with Mother, and they were always connected with the stars. So there was never an imbalance. Whereas now on today's world, there's a lot of star seeds there, everybody's awakened, but many of us are not really knowing how to connect to those roots, which are the painful parts. These are the painful memories, and by default, on a busy world, you don't want to connect with that. That's the work that needs to happen.
Absolutely. So, so powerful. Lily, can you speak about the ways that you will be working with the group, both Nelly and yourself, over the 4 or 5 days, so from the 14th to 18th of August this year, 2025, in the beautiful county with close nature surrounded by trees and hills. I've been actually to the venue where you're holding the retreat. It's stunning. I'm so glad that you were able to secure it. Can you tell us a little bit more about the event? And I witnessed as the downloads of the exact structure were coming to you over the last 2 years, and I'm just so happy to witness this milestone for you as it is really coming to manifest. I would like to invite everyone who ever wanted to come to Ireland. This summer, this August, is such a potent time for this type of work, astrologically speaking as well. Yesterday, I noticed that asteroid Isis and Hathor are coming together. They conjunct together actually with asteroid Hygeia on during the time of your retreat. So they don't walk together all the time. They come together for this particular time, mid-August, 14th to 18th, sextiling the sun. And they come together on the 25th degree of Gemini, which is conjunct the star Alnilam, the Orion belt star. So I believe there's going to be such a potent ancient wisdom coming through. Let me actually look at the chart to make sure I get it right. We have Mars in Libra, trining Pluto in Aquarius, and Uranus in Gemini. So all air signs. And Saturn, Neptune in Aries are opposing Mars. So translating in that to everyday language for the collective, what comes to me is that we have this new identity being received through higher guidance of Neptune in Aries, guarded by Saturn in Aries, making sure that this new identity and new reality that we are collectively dreaming is anchored in integrity, great responsibility, and something that will last over the ages, right? Saturn, with Mars awakening the passion through the Libra of the collective, desiring harmony and balance to be present as we move forward, while Pluto in Aquarius is bringing power to the people, calling for greater balance and harmony, calling in for new realities, new identities. And Uranus in Gemini is liberating and activating all that because truth is being revealed, the voices are being activated, freed and liberated. So all this working together while these goddesses, Isis, Hathor of the ancient Syrians, together with the Orion frequencies come through the sun in Leo. I mean, hallelujah. May we all rise together into our wholeness, into our fullness, and into our remembrance this summer. And perhaps that's why I feel such urgency to keep digging deep and keep healing, clearing as much as we can before this potency and intensity is accelerating in the collective. The more we can heal, the easier it will be in terms of what is manifesting in the outer reality, right? So, Lily, can you speak a little more on what is possible during the days when people join you and Nelly during the retreat in the beautiful mountains of County Wicklow?
Absolutely. So, yeah, there's gonna be a massive possibilities of opening higher heart chakra and sensitivity to life as we embark on a day one. And I do believe that the ones who hear the call are ready as well for that activation. As what we're going to be doing in the day one, we're going to be going into different kingdoms of nature and owning what we've done, owning what we've done to the species of nature, owning what we've done to Mother Earth, and owning what we've done to ourselves to create a meaningful change. To, as you beautifully said at the beginning of the video, we're going to offer our body, our minds, our hearts to experience the trauma that is happening to our brothers and sisters in the animal kingdom, in the plant kingdom, in the trees kingdom. And we're going to finally create that meaningful change that is going to start within, through running our minds over those really difficult images. And I do want to mention that I'm taking the participants on the journey that I went on myself first. And this is a part of a huge awakening of a higher heart chakra for me. So I hope it can do the same for you. And there's also a reason why we start with the day that we called offering, and why we're doing all this difficult work when we sacrifice ourselves in that manner for the kingdoms of nature, as we've taken so much from the mother. We keep taking. There's not enough giving. So that's why we're starting this work with giving, so we can receive in a day two. And in a day two, we're going to be receiving a wisdom that I have channeled after years of meditations of sitting in the bodies of nature. And while I was sitting in those bodies and meditating for hours every day, it was part of my daily practice. I started to access the wisdom, medicine from those beings, of what they actually hold and the path that they invite us to walk, which is very much crossing expressions of nature. Well, all the kingdoms will have their own medicines in practical life as well, but we are looking here at the spiritual aspect of things. So we're going to receive that wisdom in a day two. And then in a day three, so that's the language of Mother Earth that we're gonna learn to understand in the day two. And in the day three, we're then gonna receive a language to speak back to her, which is opening of the shamanic voice, speaking in frequency, speaking in that ancient primal way. And once we do that, and this is the day that beautiful Nelly is going to be guiding for us. So you can just imagine her essence, and that work is just going to be off the charts. And on the day four, we're going to come together with our offering, with understanding of Mother's ways, and with also knowing how to speak to her. And we're going to create a day of the primal self, the day of drumming, chanting, and using that voice that we've opened the day before to shape reality, as there's many different practices that we can do with shamanic voice. And one of those practices is shaping reality, as sound is one of the three primordial forces of creation. And we can truly manifest reality with that practice. So we're going to be manifesting a better world for our mother and for ourselves. And only to finish on the day 5, which is going to be merging with the earth ceremony. where we're gonna embody everything that we've learned, and unleash our new awakened wilderness and give it back to the earth, using the elements. We're going to cleanse in a sacred way, and we're going to ask the river to carry a certain promises of new ways that we've taken upon ourselves after the retreat.
Amazing. I celebrate everyone who is going to be blessed by being able to attend this event. Please go to Lily's website, heyoka.ie, which you can see on her name tag in the left bottom corner, heyoka.ie, and look at the way back home, and you can see full details of every day. And it's a portal in itself as you go to the website, and let the full video also give you as many goosebumps as I received. But I want to mention it's the last day, the 18th of August, early hours in the morning before breakfast, like 7 a.m. Irish time, is when Moon will join the three goddesses, Isis, Hathor, and Hygeia, together. So if you will not be up yet, set a strong intention to receive them in your dream state, and then journal whatever comes true, or go out in the early hours before breakfast and see. Anyway, the moon will, amplify the frequency of the three goddesses together, sextile in sun. So
That's the plan. That's the plan to do the offering ceremony without breakfast.
oh my goodness,
Just
that's such divine timing. I love that. Wow, that happens. This is the kind of magic that happens when you're guided by the Great Mother, huh?
yes,
Beautiful.
absolutely.
May it truly transform lives, and may it create a powerful ripple effect that is felt through the kingdom of Mother Nature. Um, may the kingdom, may all her children feel the hope growing in knowing that we are now starting to pay more attention, and we are ready to own what has been done and come in deep reverence and service and support. Thank you for doing this beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you, Julia.
All right. So as we start to wrap up, I have a couple more questions for you, ladies. Nelly, for someone watching who perhaps might not be able to make it for whatever reasons to this amazing event, and hopefully it's one of many. So for someone like that who feels the call but doesn't know where to start, what would you say is the first step back home?
If they're
Mm.
not able to attend.
Mm-hmm. We kind of mentioned multiple
Yeah.
tools already. Is there anything else that you would like to share as an inspiration?
Yeah, so the first thing is that if they're hearing some calling, that it's just like, I need to change my ways in the way I'm consuming or the way I'm living my life, just to pay attention to that and be serious about listening to that inner voice, and then connect to their bodies, really, really start connecting to the body, because the body is the body, our own bodies is an extension of Mother. So the Mother Earth. So when they start connecting to their own bodies and trying to understand, like, no matter how light work or deep work you do, begin there, and then it will just show itself. If they just keep surrendering and dropping themselves, you will be guided to that in the same way that we have been guided, obviously, over years. But it's just that, don't think you're going nuts if you're hearing voices from the land, from the earth, from the trees. That is real. That is real.
Thank you. I wonder, by the way, the stones and pebbles that you were collecting as a child. I believe stones are record keepers as well, or storytellers. And in a way, you were collecting codes, right?
And
You're
and And that is something that I've always had since a child. And I'm only realizing now, like, my obsession is, it's not an obsession. It's just because I can go to any place and I can feel the, obviously ancient sites are obvious, but even just in the forest, there could be a stone that just calls you, and that stone might say to you, take me home. And you actually, you can take it home. And I've been meditating with those stones, like, and I'm not talking about any fancy stones or crystals, just a simple stone that just spoke to me from the river, from any walk, and I take it home, and it says to me, "Take me home." So this is also a little note for somebody who cannot be there at the retreat. Just sit with it, as silly as it sounds. Sit with that stone, meditate, listen to it, and then that stone will share so much wisdom to you about that story that the stone is sharing, and the healing that the stone is giving to you to heal yourself. And then it might just say, take me to Guatemala or take me to Mexico, something like that, because I've been doing a lot of great work as such in that sense as well. So yes, stones speak and they're alive.
I just realized some of them have a desire to travel and learn new environments, right? And that's how they do it. They speak to us and let us move them.
They activate as well. They actually activate different parts of Earth. So if I, obviously don't do it very consciously, but if there's something that you've been working with and you're speaking to it, and then you are asked to travel to a certain place, it will activate and link the networks of the different parts of the body of the land to make sure they're activated. And from there, it just keeps rippling out.
Beautiful. Before I go further, I have to say what's alive in me. A realization that perhaps I disrespected the silence and that is between my ears. I said it's easy for me to hear the crickets between my ears. It's not crickets, it's silence, it's presence. So I just want to take that back. Ah, bless. Lily, I would like to hear from you about what did the Great Mother teach you about love? Because I know you for many years and I know your astrological chart and how selfless you are in supporting others on their journey and how in tune you are with other people's needs, wishes, desires, past life. Like you're so in tune with others. What did Great Mother teach you about love in terms of, balancing relationships, perhaps, or whatever way you wish to share?
Mm-hmm. Well, mother doesn't just love unconditionally. She loves with wisdom.
Mm.
To me, probably that's the biggest teaching, to love with wisdom. And love with wisdom doesn't always express us as the love that we know. Love with wisdom is the love that can say no to things. Love with wisdom is the love that can protect us, that can hold us in a different way. Let's say if we have a mother, that almond mom that we all are probably, the three of us, that is constantly battling that chocolate bar. Uh, Love with wisdom would just say no to the chocolate bar. As mother teaches us, she grows food for us. Yes, of course she grows food for us. She feeds us, but she feeds us in the most healthy way. And the only way she's growing something that we can't digest is to teach us that we can't put everything into our sacred bodies. And that to me is love with wisdom. She's truly showing us that yes, there is giving, endless support, um, endless presence as well, because she's always there. But also there's time for rests. She rests quarter of the season. And if we only apply that aspect of love to self, how much greater, how much more vital, how much more fulfilled would we be in life? So she's teaching us to love with balance, to love in harmony, um, which is the true love, the essence of love. love is, to me, and especially looking at the mother, love is not just one energy. It's a combination of actions, words, and feelings that are then combined into this one beautiful purple light of love. But it expresses through many ways, and yeah, it's just wise. It's wise with the mother.
Yes, and I can see the shift as you applied that wisdom in your own life. I can see the shift in your entire physicality, in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit. It's amazing. I can recognize it in my own ways too. When the love with boundaries, with wisdom came through, and I wonder about Earth herself going through her own cycles. Like it's obvious that she too is now stepping into, because we are receiving it, we are shifting. So clearly she is, because she always goes through the shift herself first, and then it's just like a ripple wave of how we are too changing. But I feel strongly about her ability to stay strong now and literally just roaring like clean up the meskits because like it's enough, right? That kind of way. So
I think roaring is right. I think
yeah,
roaring is
just
first primal movement that's gonna happen, and then there is that love with boundaries. But yeah, that roaring is
feels
yeah,
like she was tolerant for so long, the way we
yes.
are as mothers at first, but we learned that it doesn't work. It's not sustainable for so many reasons. Beautiful. Well, if the Earth herself could speak directly to humanity right now, what message do you feel she would give us? I would love to hear from both of you, ladies. Nelly.
Mm. Just just tuning in a little bit. The first thing that she would say is stop exploiting me. Um, I'm trying not to think too much, but then the other part that just came through is try to be in peace with yourself and that peace amongst each other. That's the first thing. Just first stop exploiting me and stop, abusing me and using me. And that speaks to all the animal kingdoms and the nature, the humans and everything that sits on her. And be in peace with yourself and with each other. They're the first things that she comes.
Thank you. Lily.
For me, go back to stillness, go back to the heart, listen, make time for listening, bring back honor, reverence, and respect, as we're all one.
Beautiful. Thank you. If I may, I feel her playful nature and her gentle smile coming through. I feel her seeing the path forward, or the path that is past all this difficult time that we are experiencing through these kind of rapid changes that are not comfortable. But I see her smiling, seeing what's coming as a result of that. And I feel the faith she has in us. And I feel her smiling in a way, almost imposing it's just a game and you're playing it really well, children. That's what I'm sensing in my heart. So there's playfulness there too, in all the seriousness.
Mm.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a deep and nourishing conversation this has been. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Nelly. Thank you for allowing yourselves to be seen in your fullness and wholeness, and for sharing your mighty presence, your grounded wisdom, your voice, and your devotion to the sacred. Thank you. And to everyone who joined us in watching this and everyone leaving a comment. Thank you for opening your heart and walking this path of remembrance with us. If today stirred something within you, I encourage you to explore further. You can connect with Lily at heyoka.ie and learn more about the way back home. And if you feel the call to go deeper into ancestral healing or womb healing, I invite you to explore my online courses at juliabalaz.com. They're designed to be returned to again and again because each time more layers are ready to rise, release, and integrate. So if you've done these courses a long time ago, they're out for a couple of years, revisit them this summer. It's such a potent time. And kind of we're in this together. So let this be a reminder that you're never alone on this journey. And may you walk forward with gentleness, guided by the voice of your mighty soul, the wisdom of your ancestors, and the love of the Great Mother. So with love and joy, thank you. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.